and welcome to Friday's edition of Cracking the Cryptic, where today we seem to be on a run of absolutely extraordinary puzzles. And this puzzle by Dying Flutchman has had the testing community at Cracking the Cryptic in paroxysms of joy. Apparently this is extraordinary, and it involves something called a camel move, which, reading the instructions, I'm going to rechristen a Tigger Bounce. I've used that expression before, and that seems to be really what's going on here, which is rather than a knight's move, which we've seen often, it's sort of a big bounce like this, just like Tigger would do. Anyway, I'll read the rules. It's called League Against Camels, this one. I'll read the rules in just a second. Firstly, I'd like to show you this, which appeared on Twitter this morning. Very amusing. Who did this come from? It came from Rasmus Wolf Jensen, who's created a Sudoku based around the memes of Cracking the Cryptic, and it made us laugh a lot. So there's a nori cell, lots of absolutely beautiful cells, bobbins, there's secrets, there's two in the corner, there's naughty snakes touching themselves, and there's even red 5 standing by. So good knowledge of your Cracking the Cryptic memes there, and I did think that was quite funny. Anything else to mention? Well, just we counted today. We've had over 700 correct solutions to Jovial's Sudoku Extravaganza over on Patreon, which is a number we can scarcely believe, to be honest. So if you are a patron of the channel and you haven't tried those 20 Sudokus, all approachable Sudokus, but there are 20 of them, do have a go. It will give you a chance to win Anita Berge's Sudoku cushion, and we'll be drawing the winner in 11 days time. And of course, over on Patreon for free, there's also this extraordinary murder mystery hunt. We aren't up to 700 correct solutions for that at the moment, but we are probably up to 100, and the comments have been out of this world, so it's good times if you enjoy your Sudoku at the moment. Now, let's read the rules of League Against Camels. Here we go. We have got normal Sudoku rules apply. In cages, digits must sum to the small clue in the top left corner of the cage. Digits cannot repeat within a cage. So normal killer Sudoku rules. The grey lines are palindromes. Did I do palindrome? Well, no, it was Remban lines or Nabner lines yesterday. Palindromes. So they must read the same in both directions. So looking at this palindrome here, which seems to be the longest in the grid, if we went 1, 4, okay, it's a 5-cell palindrome. So if it went 1, 4, 5 from this direction, it would have to go 4, 1 in this direction. So that if we read it this way, it reads 1, 4, 5, 4, 1. And if we read it this way, it still reads 1, 4, 5, 4, 1. That is the nature of a palindrome. So we must keep that nature consistent. What else have we got? We've got the indicated diagonal, that's that one, sums to 45. Digits may repeat along this diagonal. This is why this has not been marked with a blue line. It's because this, normally, if we marked the main diagonal, it would be to say it couldn't contain a repeated digit. Here it absolutely can. Obviously, those two digits couldn't be the same. That will break the rules of Sudoku, but those, for example, could be the same. Now, cells a camel move apart, aka Tigger Bounce apart, may not contain the same digit. A camel move is like an elongated knight in chess. It makes a 1,3 jump. Okay, so I think that means it goes like that, or presumably like that. So those two digits there can't contain the same digit. That one can't contain the same digit. I'm going to be absolutely dreadful at scanning this, because I've done so many knight's move puzzles in my life that I'm relatively comfortable with knight's moves and sort of how that scanning works. But here it seems to me that the central cell in the grid, whatever's in that central cell, could not appear in any of the blue highlighted cells because of the Tigger Bounce. So make use of that rule too, and you'll be good to go. The way to play the puzzle is to click the link under the video as usual. Now I get to play. Let's get cracking. So the first thing I'm seeing is a 6 cage, which must be 1, 2, and 3. Now I'm not seeing very much other than that. So probably we want to look at the palindrome, do we? Is this palindrome doing magic? I'm going to colour the ends of the palindrome. Now I'm going to colour those as well, because they've got to be the same. and I'm going to stare at the grid. So let's have a think about where purple goes in box 7 maybe. We've got to use the Tigger Bounce as well. The Tigger Bounce means it's not there, so purple's in one of 3 places in box 7. 3 places in box... this doesn't feel good at all. Let's try greens instead. Greens are in one of those 2 positions. I've got to be very careful with my Tigger Bounces. No, this is not how to start this puzzle. This is not doing anything. Is it cages then? Ah, yes it is, isn't it? Oh, that's very strange. If you're used to Tigger Bounces, why would you be? But if you are used to them, I've no doubt you spotted this instantly, but I didn't. So if you look at the coloured cells along this palindrome and ask where these coloured cells go, in either this cross or this cross, you will get a very interesting answer. Because the answer is that green and purple do not go in this cross here because of either Sudoku or Tigger Bounces. This one can't go in those 2 squares by Tigger Bounce, and it can't go in those 3 squares by Sudoku. And of course it works absolutely identically with this square and this cross here. And this cross is sort of the symmetrical counterpart of this when it comes to crosses. It rules itself out of all of those squares. So that means we need to think about what digits have to be. Yeah, for example, an 18 cage definitely has to have a 1 and a 2 in it, I think. 1, 3, 4, 5, 6 is far too many, yes. 3, if we miss out 3, oh no, okay. So 1, 2, 4, 5 and 6 just works. That would add up. That would add up to 18. So there doesn't have to be a 3 in an 18 cage. But there does have to be a 1 and a 2, and therefore these cells cannot be 1 and 2. Now, a 33 cage, that's sort of the opposite. We need to think about high digits. So, right, 8, 7, 6, 5 and 4 gets nowhere near 33. So there is a 9 in there. If we miss out, I'm pretty sure we can't miss out 8 either. 9 plus 22, no, that's nowhere near. We need an 8 in there as well. 7, if we go 9, 8, 6, 5, 4, we're adding 17 to 15, it's 32. There's a 7 in there as well. So, okay, 6 doesn't have to appear in there because you could go 9, 7, 8, 5, 4, and that, I think, would equal 33. So that means that these digits now are a little bit restricted. They cannot be 5 different digits in the puzzles. They cannot be 1s, 2s, 7s, 8s or 9s. So they are 3s, 4s, 5s or 6s. Now, does that matter? It would really be nice if we'd managed to lock either of these digits into sort of these cages, for example, because that would be helpful. Not sure how to do this. There are only 2 ways of making 33 in 5 cells. It's either going to be 6, 7, 8, 9 and 3, or it's going to be 7, 8, 9 and 5 and 4. So this has either got 6 and 3 in it, which would eliminate 6 and 3 from these options, or it's got 5 and 4 in it, and that would eliminate 5 and 4 from those squares. So if this had 6 and 3 in it, these squares would be 4, 5 pairs. You then couldn't put 4 or 5 in here, and this would have to be this would be broken. This would be 1, 2, 3, 6 and a digit that was a 7, 8 or a 9. Ah, that doesn't work. Okay. So let's double check. If this, on the other hand, is 7, 8, 9, 5, 4, this would be 3, 6 along here. Then you couldn't put 3. It's going to be the same sum. Ah! I've broken the puzzle. Ah! Sorry, I've done something wrong. Because whether I make this 3, 6 or 4, 5, I end up with 4 digits in this box that have to add up to 12. And then the other digit I'm allowed to take is only going to be a 7, 8 or a 9. Oh, what have I done wrong here? I go 3, 6 in here. These have to be from 4, 5. Oh, I see. I had not appreciated that, but I now have. It's not actually necessary for green to be a different digit to purple. Oh, that's very strange. That's very strange indeed. Let me just think about this. So I think what I'm concluding is that these coloured cells have to all be the same digit. So whatever goes in there gets eliminated from here. And then the question is, which digits do we add to the 18 cage in order to make it work without breaking these cells? So how many of those digits is it allowed to take? Is that a good way of thinking about it? How many of these digits can live in the 18 cage? And the answer is quite clearly, I see. Yeah, okay, this is another way of thinking about this. So, how many... We know that these digits here are not any of those digits, and these are 5 different digits. So that gets rid of 5 digits from these possibilities. We know in addition 1 and 2 are ruled out. So that's 7 digits that are not possible to be placed in these squares. But we also know that we can't select 3 digits from here and plonk them into here and make the 18 cage work, because we know that the lowest 2 digits in here will add up to 9, and the next digit is a 7, which adds up to 6, so 9 plus 7 is 16. If I transplant the low 3 digits here into the 18 cage, I get too many. So that means there is a digit in here that is definitely not in there. And that means that these squares together see 8 different digits, which is what I was proving by my sort of, if this is 3, 6, what happens over here type logic. And that means that if these 4 cells see 8 different digits via the medium of the 33 and the 18 cage, and they do, they're all the same. So I'm going to actually change the green colours to purple colours. And now, I reckon, if we actually trace these now around the grid, we might get more joy than we were getting when we tried to do it separately. So, let's think about that. Can I see any easy wins here? Now, in here, one of those is, now that one can't be because it's a Tigger Bounce away from this one. Here, we know one of those 3's got to be in. This one is a Tigger Bounce away, so that's no use. This is good. This is better. This one is a Tigger Bounce away from that one. So this, we get to place purple in box 2. Now it definitely gets interesting up here as well, because one square that cannot be purple in box 3 is this one, because it will reflect there and clash with this, or this, depending on how you like to think about it. So that's not purple, which means purple in column 8 is in... well, it's not here. Well, it's definitely not in those 6 cells, and it's not here because of this one. So it's in one of 2 places. Now, oh no, we can go better. This one is a Tigger Bounce away. So that one's purple. That means that's not purple. This one, oh, I see. I could have done this before. When I had those 2 as possibilities, that one is a Tigger Bounce away. So that means if this was true, both of those would have been ruled out by Tigger Bounce. So that one is not in. We get a digit there. We get a digit. We can, hang on, I've got 8 digits now, so I should be able to get this one as well. It's got to go there. So these squares, yeah, this is absolutely beautiful. Right, I was about to say these digits have to be 3, 4, 5 and 6, and that is, or 3, 4, 5 or 6, and that is true, but that digit is purple and has to be a 1, 2 or a 3, so the only digit that is common between this square and this square is 3. These are all 3s. Bingo. I get to say bingo today. That is quite an opening. Good grief. So yeah, and now I can't put 3 in the 33 cage. So now that 33 cage is only going to be possible with 4, 5, 7, 8 and 9. And I can't put 3, oh hang on, I can't put 3 in the 18 cage either. So that's going to have to be 1, 2, 4, 5 and 6, I suppose. 1, 2, 4, 5 and 6. So the only common digit between the 33 cage and the 18 cage is the 5. Okay, so what do we do with this newfound knowledge? We shall... I was about to look at the 45. I mustn't forget the 45 diagonal, but actually I've managed to secure absolutely no digits on the 45 diagonal yet. I've got no clue where to look, literally. I mean, I'm going to be just totally guessing here. Do we know, if we know the composition of these crosses, do we know something clever about the world? I do not know. I'm tempted to think about the 1s and 2s down here because at least they're a bit limited, for example, in box 5. But it's not actually... That's not an appetizing prospect, I have to say. At all. Wow. So I've managed to sort of start the puzzle, but I've not actually managed to do anything else. Maybe I've got to use the short palindromes. That one's interesting. The reason this one is interesting is those 2 digits are the same, and that therefore one of these 2 digits is going to have to be the same as these 2 digits, and it can't be that one. Oh, I'm going to get that. Right, here we go. Here we go. Now, so let's do this slowly. Those 2 squares are the same digit via the palindrome. Therefore, green is in one of those 2 squares, but it can't be here because of the Tigger Bounce. So it's here, which is on another palindrome. So those are the same. Which means that maybe... So now green in box 5 is in one of those 2 cells, which means green in box 8 is in one of those 3 cells, and green in box 7 is in one of those cells as well. It's not in that cell because that's a Tigger Bounce away. Okay, we get a little bit of progress. It's not enough, I don't think, but at least it's a little bit. And really, we need to know something about green down here, don't we? what is that thing? So green is not there. Green is not in the 45, sorry, not the 45 cage, it's not in the 33 cage at all, because that being green has ruled it out of that square. So green, oh, this is, no, green is in the 15 cage, good grief, right. Okay, we've got to pay much closer attention to this box. I hadn't realised this at all, but the Tigger Bounce is quite good. The Tigger Bounce removes it from that square, and this square, and these squares by Sudoku. Now, this square can't be green, because then you couldn't put a green in either of those two squares. So actually, it's in one of those two squares, which means if it was that one, it would be on the palindrome. And green is in one of those three squares in this box down here, which, I mean, that feels like it might be important somehow. Now, but let's just think about this as well, because this digit is restricted because it can't go in the 33 cage. So it's not a 3, 4, 5, 7, 8, 9. So it's a 1, 2, or a 6. Oh, that's just stunning. That is a stunning idea. Right. By the power of Grayskull, not the power of Grayskull, by the power of this cross not being green, we know that green is a 1, 2, or a 6. Now, what do we know is in the 18 cross? The answer is a 1, 2, and a 6. So we know that green is in this cross. But it can't be here, it can't be those two squares, and it can't be here. So this is green, I think, by force, which means that's not green. Which means those two are not green. Which means this green sees that by Tigger Bounce, so that's not green. So now that's not green. And if that's not green, this is ridiculously clever, this puzzle. This is ridiculously clever, because once you eliminate it from this square, via the palindrome, it's not there either. That means this. So green is 1 or 2 now. That's not green. That means this square is 1 or 2. I absolutely love this. This is just ridiculous. So now I've got green. Well, I've sort of got green. I know a bit about green that I didn't know before. But having said that, I haven't got a clue what its actual value is. I sort of want to look at this square now. Let me just take a stare at the other 1 or 2 then and see if we can do something with this. So this... that can't go in the 20 cage because it's too small to go in the 20 cage. It can't go in here because it would reflect on the palindrome there and clash. So it's not in this U pentomino. It's not in those two. So actually red is in only 2 places in box 8. Red has to live in here, doesn't it? So not sure. Hang on, let me check up here as well. Red is definitely, so red's in one of 3 places in box 6. I'm not sure this is the best place to look, to be honest. I don't feel like I'm getting really any traction from thinking about red. I might have to delete those. I'll come back to that if I get stuck doing something else, but I don't like the look of that. Let's check the 4. No, the 45 is still completely useless. Where on earth am I meant to look now? So there's going to be cells in this puzzle that are weaker than others. Those two, at least we would know. So, yeah, these two. Let's look at these two. So these two are the same, and they have to go in one of those three squares. Well, they're not green, so they're not here. They're not there by Tigger Bounce, so that's red. Red is now in one of, I think, 4 positions here. Do we know anything? Oh, if I could lock red out of here, we might be in business. Or even if I could lock it in here, I might be in business. So red... I'm really stuck. Sorry, I can't see how to do it. Those 2 squares, they can't be red, so these 2 squares are going in one of those 2 cells. Red. It's quite interesting in box 2, but it just doesn't seem to do enough work. Maybe I've got to do something with the cages. Do we know anything? That square's interesting. That square can't... Oh, that square is interesting. It can't go in the 33 cage at all because of the Tigger Bounce. So that square's not 4, 5, 7, 8 or 9. Oh, good grief. Right, sorry. Sorry. This square... I know I'm not meant to apologise, but I sort of feel I should here, because this square is a naked single. It can't be 4, 5, 7, 8 or 9 because of a variety of Sudoku and Tigger Bounces, and it can't be 1, 2 or 3 from the column. So that, I think, is a 6. Now, that means that square has got to be... These two add up to 9, so this is a 7 or an 8, which means that's a 7 or an 8, and that's a 7 or an 8. And that means it has to appear somewhere in the cross. And this one has to appear somewhere in those squares, because there's definitely a 6 in the 18. Ah, look. This square has, well, it's got sort of a home in box 9. It can't go there, and it can't go here by Tigger Bounce, so it's in the 20 cage, where the other 2 digits add up to 14, can't be 6, 8, so they must be 5, 9. So this is actually a 5, 6, 9 cage. That's not 6. Which... That feels like it's putting pressure on this cell, doesn't it? Because this square now can't be 1, 2... So this square has to be 4, 7 or 8, I think. Ah, yeah, here's something. Remember this square? Yeah, think about this square. This square sees the whole of the 20 cage. And it sees the 1, 2 and the 3. So this square is also 4, 7 or 8. So these are 4, 7, 8. There's a 4, 7, 8 triple in column, what's its name? Column 9. That means... those 2 squares are a 5, 9 pair. This square here has got... oh, this square can't be 6, so that's a 5 or a 9. I see, so those 2 are the same colour. Good lord, okay. Let's make those yellow. Apologies if I'm going... oh, this is nice. Where does yellow go in this box? It can't go there, and it can't go on the palindrome, or it'll reflect and see itself again. That's yellow. If I could lock it in here, I would know it was a 5. I think it's more likely to be locked out of there, though, unfortunately. Yellow's in one of those 3 cells in box 4. Oh, look, yellow has to be in the 33 cage. It has to be in there, because 5 and 9 are in there. Now, if this yellow sees that one, this yellow sees that one, that's yellow. Yellow, oh, it's nearly gorgeous. Yellow sees that one now. So there's a yellow in one of those 2, which means there's a yellow in one of these 2. There's a yellow, oh look, this yellow, that can't be yellow by Tigger Bounce, that's yellow. Oh, it doesn't see each other because it's not a knight's move, it's a Tigger move. So hang on. Can we do any... Yeah, I suppose I can just place yellow in this box, can't I? It's got to go here, which means that's not yellow. Oh, yellow is not in here then. So I can't use that to disambiguate. Oh, no. Yes, I can. That's good. That's good. That's perfect, actually. Because now yellow is not, it's demonstrably not in the 18 cage. But there's a 5 in the 18 cage. Which means that yellow is 9. Which means that's a 9. All of these are not 9. And I think I've got lots of yellows now. If that's a yellow, that means that's not a yellow by Tigger Bounce. And that means this is yellow. And now I've got all the yellows, surely. Because yellow in this box has to go here. And therefore we can double click all the yellows, turn them into 9s. That gives me a 5 here. That 5 sees that square and that square by Tigger Bounce. There's a 5 in one of those two cells. And that feels like enormous progress. How long have I had? Half an hour. That's not too bad. This definitely doesn't feel like an easy puzzle. Okay. So, what have we learned as a result of this little exercise? Have we learned about the miracles of the world? The answer is I don't know. This 6, is that doing anything? We know there's a 6 in one of those two squares. We know there is a 6 in the 18 cage. I think we have to play the game now of guessing which is the weak cell that we need to focus on. Still have got nothing on this diagonal. So the thing we should look at next is, I don't know, maybe I'll check the reds again. Have we learned? So red is now, it's a slightly more limited than it was in box 2. And it is also in one of 3 positions in box 1, look. I don't think that's terribly clever though. This is most certainly... Oh, yeah, okay. Where does red go in the middle box? Oh no, sorry, I was thinking this was red. It's not necessarily red. Red could be up there, so I don't know where it goes. Oh, bobbins. Sorry, okay, that's useless. Red's in one of those 3 cells. That's not so useless. Where does red go in box 7? It's not there. It's not here because it would reflect here, and that's a Tigger move away. So red is in one of those 2 cells. Which means what exactly? It means things like that square can't be red, but we already knew that couldn't be red because of this. We didn't need the Tigger Bounce effect, the fact that we could lock both of those out in order to prove that. So red is in one of these 3 cells, just using this red. Which means it can't be here in box 5 because that would eliminate all 3 of those squares. So red is not here, red is not there, which still means I think it's got 4 possible positions. It can be in those 4 positions there. Okay, sorry, I think I'm not doing a very good job at working out how to do this. sorry. Okay, so we're going to have to think more. Where shall we think about now? If I could lock red, if I knew that was red, which I would know if I could get rid of red from that square, is there a way of eliminating red from this square? Thing is, it doesn't really interact with those three. The other way of doing it would be figuring out that that was red, which would mean this was not red. So what's wrong with that being red? That would put red in the middle box there, which I think it could go into. Okay, no, I'm not seeing it. So we're going to have to look for something else. And the thing we shall look for is, we can eliminate 9s from those squares now. So this is a 5, 6 pair. So one of these is mapping, this domino and this domino map together somehow. So maybe this square is the sensible one to choose, because that square there, which colour shall I use? Blue maybe. Can't go in any of those positions. So blue would be there. Blue would be in one of these three, which is useless. That's absolutely hopeless. What about blue up here then? We don't know whether this is blue or not. So blue would be in one of those three. Oh, blue would definitely be in one of those two. That might be helpful. Or not. Oh goodness, this is really challenging, isn't it? I think we've done some really good things, but it's very much not falling over and letting us tickle its tummy. So I'm gonna have to think harder about this. What is it that we need to understand that we've not understood? Okay, red is not there. Red is not here because of this red. So red is in one of those two squares for sure in the 33 cage. So this is not red. Now, does that allow me to do anything sensible? Red down here is not there. Oh, you're seeing me at my most stuck. This could be red. If that's not red, red would have to go here. Oh, that's it. That's it. Good grief. Okay, this one sees that one. This one sees those two. I know you've been shouting at me about that. I just didn't spot it. I'm so sorry. But I have seen it now. So that means that's not red. And that's important, I suppose, because that means that can't be 4. So these are 7s and 8s now. And maybe that's putting some sort of pressure on the middle box where we need to put a red in. Red is in one of those 3 cells. And it's not there by Tigger Bounce. That would ruin this one. So red is in one of 2 places. Oh, and it sort of works in the opposite direction as well. That can't be red, or those two can't be read by Tigger Bounce now, because those two see each other. So red's now in... Oh, it's so close. Oh, hang on. If that's... No, it doesn't. It sees that square. I was thinking maybe these resolved, but they don't. And these don't align. Oh, it's so close now, but it's still not good enough. Wow. Red. Red. If I could resolve this ordering, I think we would be away. Or at least we'd have some way of making more progress. One of these is a 5, isn't it? But we don't know which one. Which one? Red has to go in one of those 4. It's not that one, because this is... Oh, I see. So red's actually in one of those 3. Ah, and red can't go here, because that would eliminate both of those. Good lord. So now I've got red down to just 2 places in loads of boxes. but I still can't resolve it. It's sort of this weird pattern of reds. That must be resolvable somehow, I think. Maybe, no, the diagonal's still useless. Okay. Okay, so which digit shall we pick next? We shall pick... This digit has to be one of those two digits, doesn't it? It's a 5 or a 6. So, if it's this one, that one is the same digit. Wow, this gets very complicated. This gets very complicated. So what is a better way of thinking about this? I don't know whether what I'm meant to do is to think about... I'm going to leave my red highlighting in. That definitely seems useful. I'm going to remove my 9 highlighting because that's no longer necessary. I need to work out which digit to focus on. I suppose I've got those two. Ah, yeah, I'm going to look at this palindrome now. This palindrome, those two squares are the same, and therefore they've got to be one of those. Well, they're definitely not red, because this cannot be red, because it sees 2 reds there. It can't be 9, because 9's already in the box. So that square and that square are the same. Maverick's flying past. What does Maverick want at this time? So that at least gives me 3 yellows to think about. Now this yellow is removing yellow from all of those squares. Ah, beautiful. Well, maybe beautiful. This square can't be yellow. It sees that one by Tigger Bounce. So yellow is in one of those 2 squares, which actually is not very surprising. We knew it was... We did know it was in the 33 cage because it's a 4, 7 or an 8, and a 4, 7 and 8 live in the 33 cage. But now it's not this digit. At least we now know that yellow is in one of those squares in box 6. Yellow is in one of those squares in box 3. Yellow is in one of those squares in box 2. Oh dear. Yellow... We don't know. Oh, sorry, I think I said 5 was the only repeated digit in the 33 cage and the 18 cage, but 4 repeats as well. Sorry. Yellow. Yeah, here we go. Here we go. That's it. That's it. 4. Is it possible for yellow to be 4? The answer is no, because that's a Tigger move away from that one. So there is nowhere to put yellow in the 18 cage. And if there's nowhere to put yellow in the 18 cage, it cannot be a 4. And if it cannot be a 4, this digit cannot be a 4. And yellow is 7 or 8. I don't quite know what that means. But that definitely feels like it... Well, it gives us a 4. There, it gives us a 4 in the grid. And it gives us a 7, 8 here, which can't go in those squares. So yellow in this box has to be in those 2 squares. We're making good use of our multicolouring here. And yellow must be in one of these 3 squares. And these sort of strips of yellow that we've got are very irritating because I can't see how on earth we're going to resolve those. You know, if I could force yellow there, it would also it probably would resolve all of the reds. So that could be absolutely enormously powerful. I must think more about yellows. That is not yellow because it's a Tigger move away from that yellow. Ah, yes. Where does yellow go in row 6? It's not there, it's not there, so it's here. So that's not yellow. So this is a 7 or an 8. That's no longer yellow. Oh, it's so close now, isn't it? We just need 1 or 2 more sensible thoughts. We've got to push these yellows for all they're worth. Come on, Simon, push the yellows. Okay, how are we going to push our yellows? How are we going to do this? We are going to look at... I haven't got a clue. I have not got a clue. Sorry if you're all seeing it and I'm not. That's not going to surprise me. There's quite a lot of colour blindness that happens at this point in puzzles for me, where I sort of am no longer sure exactly where I should be looking. 4 in this box is a bit restricted. Look, it's got to be in one of those 2 squares, which means this square, oh, this is it. That's absolutely beautiful. So 4, because of the Sudoku effect, well, the Tigger Bounce effect really, but pushing a 4 into one of these squares, that's not 4. So this is a 7 or an 8, and therefore it's yellow, because it's not red, and it's a 7 or an 8, which means those 2 squares now are a 4-5 pair. This is definitely not yellow. That means, oh, it's a shame. It means that one's not. I was hoping that I would interrupt the sequence of reds by getting this one to be yellow, but anyway, I got that one to be yellow. That's not yellow anymore by Tigger Bounce from here. This one is not yellow by Tigger Bounce from there. That means where does yellow go in this row? It can only go here, which is quite extraordinary. So this one is now yellow. And that means... what exactly? It means I can't resolve these. I've done a lot with yellows now, though. I can resolve them. This yellow is seeing that square, of course, so I can resolve them. I was talking nonsense. So that's... ah, now... yes, now this is not yellow. So yellow is here, which means that one is red, which means that one is not red, which means this one is red, which means that one is not red, this one is red, which means that one is not red, this one is red, which means that one is not red, and this one is red. Nori nori. 1, 2, 3. Yes, all of my reds are now done, so all of these can become 7s and 8s. All of the yellows can become 7s and 8s. How many of those have I got? Have I got all of them? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yes, I have. So I've now done all of my yellows, all of my reds. And I've got a sort of 4-5 pair in here I know very little about. And what else? What else do we need to know then? Where should we look next? That is our next challenge. We shall look at... I might look at that square again, because now I know that square and that square can't be the same, which I always knew, but now I'm actually seeing it very clearly. This square has to have a marriage with those 2 squares, which means it has to have a marriage with those 2 squares. Oh, no, better going this way. If those can't be orange, that's orange. Whoa, okay, this is a 1 or a 2. Now, what does that mean? That means this square is definitely orange, which means that orange up here can't repeat in the 18 cage because we've already put orange in that. So orange is there, exactly, because those are a Tigger Bounce away, this one and this one. Orange goes there, so I can't see which one of those is orange, but one of them needs to be. An orange in this box, oh, maybe box 5 or maybe box 2. Let's look at box 5 first. We've got to put orange in not that square, because if it's in, oh, in fact, if we know orange is there, and we seem to, that's definitely not orange. And that's going to place orange here, which means there's an orange in one of those two squares, which I sort of feel like I must be able to resolve. Surely there's a way of resolving that. No. Is that really true? Wow. Okay, sorry. I am baffled by that. Okay, I don't think I can resolve those oranges. So let's label them up, and at least that will give us something to think about in the bottom part of the grid, where we need to decide which digit we're going to look at next. This is a full colouring fest today, isn't it? These squares are 4, 5 and 6 by Sudoku. That's not 4 by Tigger Move. In fact, this column's got... I see I've just got 4s, 5s and 6s left everywhere, haven't I? And a few sort of stragglers. These are 4s, 5s and 6s. How am I going to resolve the 4s, 5s and the 6s? What's going to be the mechanism that gives us those digits? Maybe I use the given 4 to try and force them somehow. I'm definitely running out of colours badly though. Those two have to be 4. I have to put a 4 in the 18 cage, don't forget, and in this cage. That is quite interesting, actually. Oh no, it's not. It's tricky. There's something going on with 4s in this box. I was just thinking if that's a 4, then this is not a 4. Ah, done it. Done it. I think this cannot be a 4. Because if this is a 4, look what you have to do in terms of 4s in this box. The 4 is now in this domino. The 4 in box 8 is in this domino. And I have to put a 4 in this column, and there's nowhere for it to go. It can't repeat in this cage, and it can't go there because of the Tigger Bounce. So this is not 4, and that means it's 5. That's what it means. It's 5, and that's 4, and therefore that's not 4. That means that's not... well, we now know this is a 5-6 pair. We know this is not 4. So there's definitely a 4 in this domino. This cannot be a 4 because it's a Tigger Bounce away from its friend. So this sorts out the 1s and the 2s and the oranges. That is a 4, which means it's not orange. That's orange, so this is not orange. That's orange, so this is not orange. And these are all 1s and 2s. And I must be able to do some more magic now with something. I don't know whether to look at 5. I can do 5s and 6s. They just resolve down here. And this 6 is seeing some things. It's seeing that one. And the 5 is seeing that one. And the blue... oh, the blue was... oh, was this blue really in those two squares? Yes, it was. And is the blue really in one of those two squares? Yes, I think it is. So this has got to be a 6, of course. I suppose that's just obvious once you think about it. I was just surprised. So that's definitely not blue. This is still 4, 5 and 6, isn't it? We're slowly getting there, I think. It's not been a smooth journey, but it has been an incredibly interesting one for me at least. Now, these can't be, all of these can't be 1s, 2 and 2s, can they? Because we've got the 1 and the 2 locked into the 18. So these are some sort of weird 4, 5, 6 triple. and, well, so's this square actually. That's also 4, 5 or 6. So we are going to have to learn some more about 4s, 5s and 6s to make this work. And that might be easier said than done. Oh, this 5 is saying that's square, so that's a 6, that's a 5. Oh, I don't believe it. Okay, that didn't resolve anything. This... No, it didn't, you rotten thing. I can't believe it. That's really, really strange. But I don't think it does. Do we... Oh, sorry. I could look at this diagonal again. Do I know anything about this diagonal? Actually, maybe I do now. Hang on, I've got 3 reds and 3 oranges on this diagonal. And a 5 and that digit. What's this digit? This digit is a 4, 5 or a 6. I'm not sure if I can do better than that. Let's have a look then. So if we go low on this, we're going to have 21 and another 3, which is 24. Oh, I've got 2 5s and then this digit, 34. That's nowhere near. That is absolutely nowhere near. Right, let's go maximum then. We'll go 3 8s, that's 24, and 3 2s is 30, and that would give us 40. So this can never be a 4. It's just simply impossible. That's going to have to be a 5 or a 6. And in fact, how could I'm going to lose too many degrees of freedom if I don't go 8s in red and I don't go 2s in orange. It's broken because I'm going to lose I'm going to lose too many digits. Let's just prove that to ourselves. If we go 21 here, and combine that with 6, we get 27, 37. No, it just doesn't work. So the only way of filling this diagonal is with 5 here. Oh, it still doesn't resolve this. I just don't believe it. And with red, oh, hang on, I want to make red. Oh, oopsie, I'm going crazy. I want those reds to be 8s, which means those yellows can be 7s. But the strange thing about that is that because... Oh, hang on. Now that's finished. So now green has become 1. Orange must be 2. This is a 4, 6 pair. And this is a 4 or a 6, because it's the only digits left in this column. This is 4, 5 or 6. I don't... Oh, this is what's... I know exactly what's happened now. I know exactly what's happened. There is going to be one digit. It's going to be a 4, 5 or 6 that is going to be a Tigger Bounce. Look, it's something like this. That 6 can't be there because of the 4th. This one. This 5, no. There's definitely a 4 in there, so that can't be a 4. It's still preserving itself. It's keeping itself alive somehow. Maybe I've made an error. I hope not. Oh, this 5 is seeing that one. Good grief. I wonder if there's another place, or whether that is the place, the only place that's disambiguating the puzzle. But anyway, it is disambiguating the puzzle. That's a 6, that's a 4, that's a 5. That's a 4, that's a 6, that's a 5. And hopefully... No, don't you even think about not disambiguating it. Don't you even think about it. Yes, this 6 is now seeing that one. 4, 6, 5, 4, 6, 5, 6, 4. Yes. Wow. What a puzzle that is. That is absolutely brilliant. Where do you start? I mean, well, let's start with the start, which was absolutely superb. So basically, yeah, and I got confused by that as well. You had to prove that these digits on the palindrome were actually the same. And then, once you'd proved there was the same, which was some lovely logic with these cages and the Tigger Bounce move, once you'd proved that, you could lock them, because you then knew they were, all four of those were the same. You followed that round, it forced it into there, which was so clever, and gave you that these were threes. After that, I think I struggled. I think I went to those. I noticed that those two squares reflected, well, couldn't reflect there, so that you got a lot of palindrome cells, and we did some work with that. And what I thought was very clever was that there were a lot of times where we had to ask, is it possible to put the digit in the 33 cage or the 18 cage? Does it need to be in there? Because if it needed to be in there, it resolved. And there was something incredible about that digit, I think, where we knew suddenly, because we knew there had to be this digit in the 18 cage, we were therefore able to place it, and it disambiguated all sorts of things. But it never let up. It was always difficult, and very consistently so. So it sort of started difficult and remained difficult until the very end. But it was also magnificent. So Diane Flutchman, take a bow, and we'll be back later with another edition of Cracking the Cryptic.